Minceraft isn't for every average machine anymore.
Skip it up and that up.
Hey bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
One knows this fact since 1.18 dropped and the performance showed itself to be absolutely garbage. Sure, it was mostly because of the new world height, which expanded exactly 64 layers from the top to the bottom, but having to wait that long for an update which was delayed in 3 freaking parts when it was announced in 2020 wasn't that worth, unless you count the big boy warden and the deep dark. Note Mojang tried to solve things using new coding on the game's system such as the dragon render, but fact of the matter is Minceraft wasn't supposed to be that big and run exactly like its older versions. With such changes on the code it'll eventually become big enough, to the point it'll only have decent performance with stupid RTX GPUs and high-end CPUs at the price of one of your kidneys. All of that means that just like our friend Todd Howard, forsaken his greatest titles such as Oblivion and Starfield to the hands of the Nexus modders, it's up to the gorgeous Minecraft's modding community to create mods and plugins to the heaviest blocky game of all time and make it playable for everyone who appreciates the beauty of playing this game. Such as myself, who thanks you all for making the channel grow to 100 subscribers after so few videos. This is only the first step to 1000 subs, and I know we'll get there eventually. In the meantime, let's get to the video's topic and let your boy E-Tlib get your back for the upcoming personal package of unlimited power. The unofficial optimization patch for Minceraft 1.18 plus and beyond is finally here. Yes, after years of search and wait, I created my own performance update, which involves a collection of mods that solves a heck amount of internal issues a game has, and transforms your gameplay to an actual smooth experience in a way Opfine and Fabric mods alone wouldn't provide at all. Let's get to see what I like to call the sacred Jedi texts. Some notes before anything else. There are some mods who are unavailable for 1.20 since a lot of mod developers just kicked the bucket about this version, and because of the fact it's one of the most decent versions in terms of optimization. Compare it yourself using only Opfine. But keep in mind some of the mods in the list are perfect for mod packs, so it's worth checking out, that's for sure. I left all the links in the description. Now let's start with the S column for essential mods. Starting off with Rubidium and Oculus for Forge. These two are well known already, simply expect both to have almost all the same utility and performance than its Fabric counterparts Sodium and Iris, and no errors whatsoever when side by side with Opfine. Now to the mod Smooth Boot. Imagine turning on your PC, which has 10 years of use, and wait for it to turn on without any SSD. That's what Minceraft does most of the time with low-end CPUs, because it only uses one of the minimal 8 threads the processor has, forcing it to use a total of 100% of one single thread, and then overloading it, while stuttering a lot, just to load the Mojang screen, and open the game. Fear not, your CPUs are safe with this mod. Expect it to make Minceraft use all the potential of your processor and load your game faster and smoother. Now, some of you may have already recognized this symbol. If not, then you're obligated to know it now. All hail the creator of this series of performance mods, Samadin. You for sure wouldn't expect that much of effort and work put in single mods for unique purposes inside Minceraft like this guy did. It goes from chunk loading to lag issues, from entity ticks to memory leaks, and so on. For you to have an idea, the list is that big for the topic it should receive its own category on the tier list. With that in mind, I'll let a link for the creators page on CurseForge, just so you can have a clear view of the epic creations this guy has made. E-Tlib approves it. Moving now to the complementary tier, which shouldn't be ignored at all. Starting off with Starlight. Specially made for huge dedicated servers, it reworks the entire lighting engine of Minceraft, as the name would suggest. Be by fixing visual light errors like dark places, or speeding up the process it takes to load a light source from day and night cycle, or a block or entity that emits determined light level. If you run multiplayer servers with such issues, definitely go for it. Up next there's Canary, simply the Forge fork of Lithium for Fabric. It tries to optimize everything related to Minceraft's tick times in a server, from mobs to chunks. mainly by aiming at speeding up the server-side processes. Rubidium/magnesium extras is entirely optional, but highly recommended as well. It adds some improvements to the base mod rubidium and extra features for you to use, not affecting anything negatively. It also works with the other optimization mod magnesium of course, but by my personal experience it's known for crashing a lot when used along other mods, so for instance, you sit with rubidium in mind.
No, you can't just let Minceraft running in the background while editing videos smoothly, you moron.
Ha 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 ha, FPS reducer go bro. Oh yeah, this FPS reducer is good stuff. It basically adds an eco mode for your Minceraft when you pause it or minimize it to do other stuff, reducing its usage and spreading more memory in the meantime for other functions. Chef kiss. Ferrite core will control your memory usage to make it as minimal as possible, even when big amounts of RAM are allocated. Simple as that, and beautiful as it is. Fast load will save a predetermined amount of render chunks in your world, so the time speed it takes to load becomes faster. Just remember the world must be rendered and explored first. Last but not least for this tier, we have lazy DFU. Saying you want to play a newer version of Minceraft and just migrated from an older one from the launcher, you'll need to wait the long time it takes to convert the data from one version to another for it to load. This mod improves this process and makes it load faster, being similar to smooth boot, but focusing most on the data coding of the game. Moving on to the in-game entity rendering tier, which focus on mobs and blocks rendering improvements. Starting off with entity collision FPS fix. When a mob collides with another directly, it counts as an registered act on the server. In other words, it has a collision check on the code during gameplay. Now imagine dozens of zombie hordes happening at the same time, followed by the constant collision checks of every damn zombie. Of course you're going to have some low latency and FPS during this period. With entity collision FPS fix, those checks are partially reduced, so there's less lag when such events happen. Assuming those days gone hordes of zombies are behind your city walls, Minceraft would still consider you, the player, are directly rendering them on your view, and so lag a bit because of it. Using entity culling mod makes the game don't render creatures and other stuff which are not visible for you, improving then your FPS. Speaking of culling, there's an useful feature on Opfine called Cull Leaves, which hides those great amounts of leaves among the others on the foliage's edge to improve your FPS. But I'm not using Opfine in this collection, which is why I found this mod called Cull Less Leaves Reforged, which recreates the feature for non-Opfine users, and it does the job. For the last mod on this tier, we have Fix My Spawner. It will control the amount of mobs a spawner will generate in a single space, which helps your game to not become a new copy of Vermintide 2. Simple as that, and beautiful as it is. Moving now to the in-game mechanics and scripts improvements tier, which changes how some coding functions of the game's content works, involving mobs and blocks. Starting off with the Fast Furnace mod. As the name suggests, it will speed up the smelting process in terms of game ticks, like when a lot of furnaces are working at the same time. It won't affect the actual speed of smelting of ores and others in game, it just helps to reduce the amount of ticks it consumes. If you want to speed your furnaces, here's a honorable mention to the Iron Furnaces mod. Search it on CurseForge for more info. For all the redstone engineers, this mod is for you. Alternate current will revamp the way redstone dust works in a lot of ways to help improve the performance of redstone in general. AI improvements will make the AI of most of the mobs more lightweight and better in terms of actions execution, while not affecting their vanilla acting, of course. The same way Fast Furnace helps to reduce the server's ticks. Bfix will solve everything that's wrong, or a bug for those buzzy bees, such as losing its track from flowers constantly and despawning randomly. Last but not least on this tier, there is the Attribute Fix mod. It will distinct vanilla mobs from modded mobs' attributes when in game, to maintain constant and correct values of each mob, which Minceraft can sometimes don't do it itself. Just passing by to say some of those mods such as fast load and entity culling can be exchanged for some mods from the Summerdoon developer. I personally prefer to use all of them together, since there isn't any incompatibility between them. Now continuing to the end of the list. The next tier is just 2 complements which are actually not that essential, but I personally can't dispense those 2, so I decided to maintain the 2 on the collection. Fix experience bug removes a potential bug that resets your XP bar when traveling between dimensions, and yes, it can sometimes happen, so it's worth. And shut up experimental settings will remove the respective warning that appears every time you use mods that changes how world loading works. If you get annoyed by it most of the time, go for it. Next tier is a polemic tier because both of the mods can receive a not so good feedback most of the time, and it's because of mod compatibility. I'll try to explain. The Not Enough Crashes mod will let you stay in game after a game crash, while also providing an exclusive crash log for you to analyze what caused it. You may ask how this could mean any bad, and the thing is the mod can sometimes be the issue of the crash itself when really specific mods are put in the mods folder, but I mean, really, specific, like Oculus. And all taught it's rare to occur, considering this crash can be now disabled on the configuration file of the mod. Most people can find the specific mods that makes the game look like this, and blame the mod because of it. Sure, you can remove it and keep playing with the others, but me? I wouldn't like to open the game every time a freaking creeper blows up my TNT flat world and crashes my game, when I can stay in it and keep playing. The decision of removing it is yours. The same rule applies for this unofficial fork of Oculus, called OCD shaders. If you saw my previous video of the web displays mod, you should be aware of this mod. It is supposed to remove every issues between shaders and mods, and make both flow without any errors and visual lag. But I too noticed it can have some flaws with lightning, and some other glitches, like my last video showed. All taught it does not causes any crashes, and is actually compatible with some mods. It's the same case of Not Enough Crashes. Specific mods brings up specific problems, so it's up to you to decide using it or not. I personally only use it for mod compatibility sometimes, but the bad thing is it's only available for 1.19.2, so keep that in mind. The last tier for the last mod. It's called It Shall Not Tick, but you can call it Isn't too. The reason it's so down the list is because it probably was abandoned by its creator, but I believe it still works as intended on the versions he left in. The mod should and allows you to configure which entities should tick in your world, if perhaps one is causing too much, or isn't supposed to do so. But considering the entire collection showed by now should do the trick, and that the author retired from the mod, it shouldn't be on the list whatsoever. But I decided to leave it there, because I downloaded it on the good old times, and it's basically just chilling there, not giving any hard work for me. So if you want to give a chance for this cute boy, please go ahead and let the collection complete as it is. Before we jump to the testing, here are some honorable mentions that I didn't include on the list, such as clubs, which reduces the XP orbs gained from a mob to one single orb. Feature NBT Deadlock Be Gone for 1.18.2, which fixes an issue blocking certain mods from working in this version, and light speed launch optimizations that will speed up your mod pack's loading time. Add those to the equation if you like, and with this powerful combination of optimization mods, you should for sure have no performance issues in your Minceraft, and have it working the best way it could on your PC, on the newest versions. Here I'm playing the 1.19.2 version with the performance update in the mods folder, including everything I showed in this video, and some mods from some add-on. And as you can see, I'm having between 1500 by 500 frames per second, with 22 chunks of render distance. Sure, my GPU is relatively decent, but keep in mind that you could have almost the same, if not even a more stable frame rate, without a dedicated graphics card, with the mods improvements that this collection provides. And there you have it, my personal performance update for Minceraft involving the best optimization mods from my experience. Check the description for all the download links provided by me of every single mod. Note, you must remember to download any dependencies some of the mods have for them to work, which I showed here, and that most of them also have fabric versions, besides the opposite of some also presented. Finally, make sure to install the recommended Forge versions on the Forge page to prevent any errors of recent crashes. That was E-Tlib for you. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.